Oh, hello, hello, ho, ho, ho. Merry, Merry Christmas and welcome to Literature Recall Challenge Answers Week 12. Well done for getting this far. So, who is speaking and being described in the quotations from Romeo and Juliet? Why, he's a man of wax is, of course, spoken by the nurse about Paris. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art, thy tears are womanish, is of course the friar about Romeo when he is crying over being banished to Verona and being absent from Juliet. What ho, you men, you beasts, is of course Prince Aeschylus when he is speaking in Act 1, Scene 1 to the citizens of Verona and Lord Montague and Lord Capulet. So the mistakes you had to find and fix in A Christmas Carol. Martha doesn't work at a baker's, she works at a milliner's, which is someone who makes hats, particularly for the welfare. So she will have worked in close contact with lords, ladies and the very wealthy people of society each day. Mrs. Cratchit doesn't buy a new dress for Christmas. She puts ribbons on her old dress, which is twice turned, so she can turn it inside out, and she is described as being brave in ribbons. So she works hard to look good for Christmas Day. She doesn't dwell in her misery and her poverty. They're not really poor, aren't the Cratchits? They just don't have a lot. Scrooge has been a different man since Marley died 7 years ago. No, he hasn't. He hasn't changed and has had 7 more years to sin. And Scrooge eats a rich man's diet. No, he sits by his fire and eats gruel because he's miserly and mean and doesn't want to spend all his money on food. Okay, give me 3 then adjectives to describe Mrs. Burling in An Inspector Calls. You could have had that she's cold-hearted, she's unsympathetic, and she's hypocritical, especially when she's talking about the father of the child, who turns out to be Eric, her son. Uses of the telephone in An Inspector Calls. They ring the chief inspector to ask about Inspector Gould and see whether or not he's a real inspector, which of course he isn't. They ring the hospital to ask if a girl has died of suicide, and of course there hasn't been. And then at the end, the telephone rings to say an inspector is on his way. Shock horror, spoiler. Then characters who don't appear on the stage. You have Joe Megate, who is kind of chatting, flirting with Eva/Daisy in the bar, who Gerald saves her from, the fairy prince. We have Eva Smith, Daisy Renton, who we never see. And finally, mentioned earlier, we have the Chief Inspector, Colonel Roberts, who verifies that the inspector does not exist. So that's it, up to Christmas. There'll be more recall challenges after Christmas. Well done for all your hard work this half term. Have a very restful Christmas. Good luck for your mock exams. There will be a slight pause in these videos until after your mocks. All the best. Work hard. See you later. Over and out.